Many Americans are still catching flights and hitting the roads for this Thanksgiving holiday, even though the CDC strongly recommends that people do not travel. I'm Christina Coleman in Los Angeles. More on this story coming up.
Plus, you'll see how a local swim team came through for their coach after she suffered a spinal injury in the pool. And a Joplin church is making sure around 100 four-state families have a meal they can be proud of this Thanksgiving with some blessed baskets. Meteorologist Nick Kelly has your weather. Andy Ciateco's on sports. I'm Mike Mahoney, and this is your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
Well, thanks as always for tuning in. After a year filled with lockdowns, quarantines, and isolation, many Americans are hoping to spend the Thanksgiving holiday with loved ones. But that's clashing with the CDC's advice that people should stay home this year. Fox News' Christina Coleman takes a look.
The FDA Saturday approved emergency use for a COVID antibody therapy from Regeneron, the same experimental treatment President Trump has said helped his own recovery. Demand could be high, with the U.S. surging past 12 million total reported cases. The CDC's recommendation not to travel over Thanksgiving has been met with mixed reactions.
We're going to have Thanksgiving with our family, and you're not going to tell us otherwise.
Family is like the most important thing, period. And not to be around family on a family special occasion day and a part of the year, it's going to be pretty rough for a lot of people.
AAA estimates around 95% of people traveling will get there by car. If you're one of them, doctors say you should keep stops to a minimum and limit your interactions with others. If you host or attend a Thanksgiving gathering, the CDC has this advice. Eat outside if possible, limit the number of people in the kitchen, and have just one person serve the food. And if possible, get tested beforehand.
50% of infections that are happening are caused by people with no symptoms. So I think the message for everyone is you can't assume that you don't have the virus, and you can't assume that the people whose home you're about to enter don't have the virus.
Even though a vaccine is close, Dr. Fauci says it's likely still months away for most Americans. So he's encouraging people to follow health guidelines to help slow the spread of this virus as we head into the winter. Reporting in Los Angeles, Christina Coleman, Fox News.
The McDonald County Sheriff's Office is investigating a shooting death after finding a body at an apartment complex in Knoll. Authorities say that a little after 10 this morning, Knoll's Marshal's Office and Sheriff's deputies responded to a call of shots fired at the Knoll Heights apartments. A man's body was discovered with gunshot wounds in an apartment on the second floor. Witnesses identified a suspect who had fled the scene. That suspect is now in custody after an arrest in Benton County, Arkansas. No names are being released at this time. All right, time for a look at the weather. Let's turn things over to meteorologist Nick Kelly.
We've made some improvements today, Mike. Granted, the cloud cover was a little stubborn to let go, but we were dry today, thankfully, and temperatures were at least able to get back near 50 in Joplin. Some of you that saw sunshine earlier today, especially our northwestern counties, we did see temperatures go back into the lower 50s. While it is nice to see nothing on the radar network, no rain to deal with tonight, the moisture that we picked up throughout the course of the weekend is going to lead to some areas of fog tonight. We're already starting to see some areas of fog develop, especially south of I-44 in southwestern Missouri. So we'll keep an eye out for that as our next wave wants to bring in cloud cover overnight. Overnight lows drop back to 35. Can't rule out a few showers with this next wave starting to work in tomorrow, but despite that, I think we can get highs back to about 52. A few more systems on the way, Mike. We'll break it all down for you here in a bit.
Thanks so much, Nick Kelly. The annual Cat Tracks YMCA National Swim Meet today turned into something much more personal for one of the Y's volunteer swim coaches. KOAM's Caitlin Shive has the story on how the coaches' swim team members came together to surprise their coach in a time of need.
Cherie Woody is a volunteer and swim coach at the YMCA in Carthage, but while enjoying a summer day, she dove into a pool unaware of how shallow it really was, and in an instant, her life changed.
It was just a wrong angle, and I should have known better, and it was a freak accident, and I broke my C4, C5 vertebrae, which means I broke my neck.
The injury left her unable to enjoy the sport she loves.
It's just hard to accept in general, and then to think that you're not going to be able to do what your passion, what drives you, what fuels your fire every single day.
Her injury requires multiple visits a week to the hospital for therapy, and it's not cheap. So her swimmers decided they were going to help out.
Similar to like a walkathon, except a swimathon. So however many laps they swam is how they raised money, and collectively as a group we were able to raise $10,000.
For $10,000 to Cherie from the Ferry.
A check for $10,000 was presented to Cherie at the annual Cat Tracks National Swim Meet.
It really just shows you not only the support that we have for our own and our neighbors, but it also shows you that the youth, how much they respect and understand the power that they have and what they can accomplish.
And really, more than just the community, it really stepped up to help Cherie out, and I think it helped, helps them feel like they're doing some good in the world too.
That's more than anybody. Like, they worked their tails off for that, and it just shows the love that we have for each other.
The money raised will go towards Cherie's medical expenses, a surprise that's still sinking in.
I just can't believe that anybody would come together as a unit and raise money like this. It's actually like unfathomable.
In Carthage, Caitlin Shive, KOAM News.
A church in Joplin wanted to show their giving spirit ahead of Thanksgiving by passing out blessing baskets to families in need today. Each basket came with ingredients for Thanksgiving dinner classics like stuffing, green bean casserole, rolls, and more. People reserved their baskets ahead of time and met with church members who prayed with families before passing out the baskets, along with turkey and pie. Volunteers distributed 100 baskets in total. It is now time for us to honor one of our many four-state heroes. And tonight, we recognize Oscar Evans of Webb City, Missouri. He served as a technician in the U.S. Army, and he fought in World War II and the Korean War, earning a Good Conduct Medal during his tenure. Thank you, sir, for your courage and your service. For more information on all our four-state heroes, or to nominate your own, just log on to KOAMNewsNow.com.
Our Sunday has pretty much been an improving day in the weather department. Granted, we did get the rain out of here late last night into this morning, but Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, the Time Lapse outside of Seneca, showed the cloud cover taking its sweet time on getting out of here, but it was nice to see some sunshine before we hit sunset this evening. As far as the Skywatch Storm Tracker goes, again, that storm system certainly moved out in a hurry once we got into the late night hours last night into this morning. Not only that, we are enjoying at least some mostly clear skies as we begin the late night hours out. Hardly any rain for today, even though we were sticking with mostly cloudy skies to start the afternoon. With that said, though, the moisture that we picked up throughout the course of Friday and Saturday with clear skies starting the overnight out is going to lead to some areas of fog. Not seeing a whole lot of low visibilities yet, but we are going to see some areas of fog develop before more cloud cover works in from the west as our next wave begins to take shape. Right now, though, turning cold fast. 39 in Joplin, feels like 35 with the south breeze at 6 miles per hour. We are seeing most locations in the middle to upper 30s. I'm going to keep temperatures cold, but I don't think we drop off too much more from here on out because as the fog gets going, it's going to limit how cold we get for the rest of the night. 35 by morning, pushing afternoon highs near 52, despite mostly cloudy skies returning again throughout the course of the day. The Skywatch Storm Tracker, I'll tell you what, for a stubborn front this weekend, it was quick to skedaddle. It's well to the east of us now, the front that gave us the rain Friday and yesterday, but we are seeing our next storm system at the surface and our next wave coming at us from the west, and some energy from that wave will start to bring in the clouds overnight and maybe a few showers for your Monday. But let's break down the future track forecast for you. Again, we'll watch for areas of fog to develop throughout the course of the night. Otherwise, we'll say mostly clear skies, turning partly cloudy, especially by sunrise. Again, the increasing clouds will keep temperatures mainly in the mid-30s to start, so a cold morning, sure, but I do expect temperatures to rebound, into the lower 50s as we head into your Monday afternoon. So despite the mostly cloudy skies returning and a few showers during the day, I think we go from 35 in the morning, 49 by noon, and afternoon highs around 52. Even though we could get away with maybe a few showers on Monday, look at Tuesday. A good stream of moisture in that next front working in. It's going to bring in periods of rain and thunderstorms. But let's also keep an eye on Tuesday evening and Tuesday night, because as that front rolls in, we could see some strong thunderstorms. I'm not looking at too much in the way of any severe weather, but with this next system on the way, wouldn't be surprised if we picked up another half an inch to maybe 2 inches of rain before we dry out for Wednesday as this wave clears out. And thankfully, we'll stay quiet still and mild for Thanksgiving. Then Black Friday. We'll see our next wave work in and keep rain chances around for Black Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So we got a few more systems to keep an eye on, but 52 tomorrow, 60 on Tuesday, 53 and dry Wednesday, 60 and dry on Thanksgiving. Then we'll watch for additional rain chances with another system on the way by Black Friday and for the rest of the holiday weekend. Mike?
Well, thanks so much, Nick Kelly. And Nick, check this out. The Sentinel-6 rocket blasted off from Vandenberg Air Force Base in California this weekend. The spacecraft is one in a series being launched into space to monitor our oceans. In 2025, a twin satellite, the Sentinel-6B, will also be sent into space. The pair will extend our nearly 30-year-long record of global sea surface height measurements. They will also provide atmospheric data aimed at improving our weather forecasts, climate models, and hurricane tracking. Bet Nick will like that. All right. Still to come, we are heading to Georgia, which has become the current center of the U.S. political world.
As deadlines loom for states to certify election results, the president's path to changing the results appears to be narrowing. I'm Charles Watson in Atlanta. More on that story coming up.
With President Trump facing dimming prospects of being able to change the current election results, both parties are now shifting their attention to Georgia. That's where two Senate runoff races could determine whether President-elect Biden will also have the U.S. Senate on his side. Fox News' Charles Watson has the latest.
It's about time ordinary people who had a representative in the United States.
More than $120 million has already been spent on ads in Georgia, where the two runoff races will determine which party takes control of the Senate. Democrats there have accused their GOP competitors of fueling President Trump's attacks on the election process.
I think Senator Perdue wants the president to come down and campaign for him. And as a result, he's indulging the president's fit of denial about the election outcome.
The president's fight to overturn the election results in multiple states is still firing up many of his supporters. Rallies drawing out hundreds Saturday in Atlanta and Milwaukee, even though lawsuits filed by the president's lawyers have so far not gotten off the ground. Georgia this week finished up their official recount, with the results still showing Biden in the lead.
State law now requires the governor's office to formalize the certification, which paves the way for the Trump campaign to pursue other legal options in a separate recount if they choose.
Election workers in Wisconsin will conduct a recount in two heavily Democratic counties. Their deadline is the end of the month, with people there expected to work through the Thanksgiving holiday. In Michigan, the RNC has asked for an audit of ballots in Wayne County, which includes Detroit. State law does not allow an audit before the count is certified, which is set to take place on Monday. The Trump campaign has 2 business days to request another recount here in Georgia. As for those two runoff races, they will both be determined by a special election on January 5th. In Atlanta, Charles Watson, Fox News.
Monday marks 20 days since the presidential election, and the outcome is still being disputed by the Trump campaign. Today, a spokesman for the voting machine company that's been at the center of some serious allegations says there's no way his company helped rig the election. Fox News' David Spunt has the latest from Washington.
The Trump campaign continues to level serious allegations against Dominion voting systems, talking about an international conspiracy to switch millions of votes from President Trump to President-elect Biden. Also, the mention of communist money. A spokesman for Dominion today on Fox News said these charges are bogus and defended the company. Listen.
This is a nonpartisan American company. It is not physically possible for our machines to switch votes from one candidate to the other. Let's be very clear. Our election system is run by local elected officials and nonpartisan poll watchers. There is no way such a massive fraud could have taken place.
Today, there are still outstanding legal challenges in Georgia, Nevada, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Team Trump says they have no intention to let these go. A big defeat for the president yesterday in Pennsylvania when a longtime conservative Republican judge, a member of the Federalist Society, ruled against the president's attempt to stop the certification of ballots. But the president's legal team insists they will push forward with multiple cases and they will present evidence in front of a judge. We have not seen that evidence yet. Today, Trump friend and close advisor, former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, made it clear he's not impressed with the president's legal team.
They allege fraud outside the courtroom, but when they go inside the courtroom, they don't plead fraud and they don't argue fraud. We cannot continue to act as if something happened here that didn't happen. You have an obligation to present the evidence. The evidence has not been presented.
A senior law enforcement source tells me the FBI does not have a blanket investigation into widespread voter fraud across the country. Someone who's been noticeably absent since the election, at least on camera, Attorney General Bill Barr. In Washington, David Spunt, Fox News.
When we return, we have got the latest developments out of the Middle East. There are peace talks going on between the Taliban and the Afghan government, and it looks like U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is getting involved. Details are coming up. Welcome back to your News at 9. The Afghan government and the Taliban are working on a peace deal, and current U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has gotten involved. Fox News' Trey Yingst has the details.
U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo met with Taliban negotiators this weekend as the Afghan government and the Taliban hammer out details to a peace deal. The meeting took place in Doha, Qatar, as Pompeo also met with Afghan representatives. Hours before, nearly 24 rockets were fired at the Afghan capital of Kabul, killing 8 civilians. ISIS claimed responsibility for the attacks that underscore just how delicate the situation is on the ground. Last week, the Pentagon announced a further U.S. troop drawdown in Afghanistan, indicating 2,500 Americans will stay in the country. Today, Pompeo was in the United Arab Emirates, where he spoke about the need for unity in the Gulf in order to counter threats from Iran.
We built a coalition that said that Iran is the central threat inside of the region. Then we built out a campaign that denied the regime the resources to underwrite Lebanese Hezbollah, the Shia militias in Iraq.
As part of the 7-country tour, Pompeo also visited Israel last week. The issue of cutting off Iranian support to its proxies in the region directly affects the country. Overnight, a rocket was fired by a suspected Iranian-backed group inside Gaza, hitting a building in southern Israel. In Tel Aviv, Trey Yingst, Fox News.
Thousands of protesters hit the streets in Taipei today, outraged about a food safety issue. They are demanding the government reverse its decision to allow U.S. pork imports into the country. The Taiwanese president lifted a long-standing ban on U.S. pork and beef imports back in August. The decision has been met with lots of opposition because the new policy allows imports of pork with a residue of a drug added into animal feed to promote the growth of lean meat, which some farmers use in pigs. The drug is banned by the European Union, but it is legal here in the U.S. Demonstrations turned violent in Guatemala this weekend. Protesters set the country's Congress building on fire in Guatemala City. Hundreds of people took to the streets to voice their anger over the country's economy. Initially peaceful, the protest took a turn when demonstrators started throwing flaming objects at the government building. It was all an effort to sway the government to reject the proposed 2021 national budget. Guatemala and the entire region of Central America are dealing with the devastation of hurricanes Eta and Iota. Last Monday, Guatemala's president said his country needs help from more affluent nations to recover. We'll be right back with more news. A shark attack takes another life in Australia. Police were called to Cable Beach in Broome today. They said a 55-year-old victim was pulled from the water with serious shark bite injuries. He was treated by police before paramedics arrived but died at the scene. Park rangers closed the beach immediately and a patrol vessel was sent out on the water to search the area. The victim is the 8th person to die in a shark attack in Australia this year. It's the highest death toll since 1929 when 9 people died from shark attacks. Well, stay right there. We've got a lot more news headed your way, as well as another look at your weather with meteorologist Nick Kelly and your KOAM Sports Report with Andy Ciateco. That's all coming up right here on your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. And when we return, you'll learn about a police officer attack in New York City where anywhere from 6 to 9 assailants attacked a cop on a jog. Plus, toilet paper shortages are starting to creep back in some parts of the country, but will this be the norm as the coronavirus cases increase? An industry expert shares her thoughts right after this short break. A New York City police officer was injured after being attacked while he was jogging. It happened Friday night at about 6:30 in the Long Island City section of Queens. The officer was wearing civilian clothes and, according to police, he was attacked by about 6 to 9 men. The officer was injured in his head, throat, shoulder, and knee, but was taken to a hospital in stable condition. He has more than 15 years with the department. As of now, police have not made any arrests. Some stores in the U.S. are starting to see toilet paper shortages again. Fox News' Matt Grant spoke to an industry expert on what shoppers can expect in the coming months of the pandemic.
We're on the hunt to see if local grocery stores are stocked up on toilet paper and paper towels. What we found, row after row of empty shelves.
We're starting to see demand tick back up again.
At the Walmart in Concord, Target, Publix, and Food Lion in Charlotte, and Harris Teeter in Belmont, it's a familiar sight from the start of the pandemic, when panic buying drove shortages and led to instances of price gouging.
The single focus of the industry is making sure that people get what they need and doing everything possible to meet those needs.
Katie Dennis is with Consumer Brands Association, a trade group representing companies that make personal care and cleaning products. She says suppliers are better positioned now to meet demand.
Our companies have been running at peak production for quite some time, 24/7 shifts, just whatever they can do, external manufacturers that they're bringing on, understanding that we have a real responsibility to consumers. We make essentials and people can't go without, so we take that very seriously.
Off camera, shoppers tell Fox 46 they're frustrated. To avoid hoarding and shelf clearing, retailers like Publix, Target, and Harris Teeter are again limiting how much toilet paper customers can buy. Food Lion and Walmart did not immediately respond.
You see a restriction and you automatically assume, I need this, I should probably get this. If it's limited, I have to have it. But then on top of that, you do have rising cases. We are facing winter. I think there's all sorts of factors that are coming into play.
In a Monday earnings call, Walmart confirmed it's starting to see shortages in areas hit hardest by COVID, specifically of bath tissues and cleaning supplies, but not masks and hand sanitizers.
It feels to me like we'll work through this period of time better than we did in the first wave.
We'll be right back with meteorologist Nick Kelly and another look at your weather. Don't go anywhere.
Our Sunday has pretty much been an improving day in the weather department. Granted, we did get the rain out of here late last night into this morning, but Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, the time-lapse outside of Seneca, showed the cloud cover taking its sweet time on getting out of here, but it was nice to see some sunshine before we hit sunset this evening. As far as the Skywatch Storm Tracker goes, again, that storm system certainly moved out in a hurry once we got into the late night hours last night into this morning. Not only that, we are enjoying at least some mostly clear skies as we begin the late night hours out. Hardly any rain for today, even though we were sticking with mostly cloudy skies to start the afternoon. With that said, though, the moisture that we picked up throughout the course of Friday and Saturday with clear skies starting the overnight out is going to lead to some areas of fog. Not seeing a whole lot of low visibilities yet, but we are going to see some areas of fog develop before more cloud cover works in from the west as our next wave begins to take shape. Right now, though, turning cold fast. 39 in Joplin, feels like 35 with the south breeze at 6 miles per hour. We are seeing most locations in the middle to upper 30s. I'm going to keep temperatures cold, but I don't think we drop off too much more from here on out because as the fog gets going, it's going to limit how cold we get for the rest of the night. 35 by morning, pushing afternoon highs through 52, despite mostly cloudy skies returning again throughout the course of the day. The Skywatch Storm Tracker, I'll tell you what, for a stubborn front this weekend, it was quick to skedaddle. It's well to the east of us now, the front that gave us the rain Friday and yesterday, but we are seeing our next storm system at the surface and our next wave coming at us from the west, and some energy from that wave will start to bring in the clouds overnight and maybe a few showers for your Monday. But let's break down the future track forecast for you. Again, we'll watch for areas of fog to develop throughout the course of the night. Otherwise, we'll say mostly clear skies, turning partly cloudy, especially by sunrise. Again, the increase in clouds will keep temperatures mainly in the mid-30s to start, so a cold morning, sure, but I do expect temperatures to rebound, into the lower 50s as we head into your Monday afternoon. So despite the mostly cloudy skies returning and a few showers during the day, I think we go from 35 in the morning, 49 by noon, and afternoon highs around 52. Even though we could get away with maybe a few showers on Monday, look at Tuesday. A good stream of moisture in that next front working in. It's going to bring in periods of rain and thunderstorms. But let's also keep an eye on Tuesday evening and Tuesday night, because as that front rolls in, we could see some strong thunderstorms. I'm not looking at too much in the way of any severe weather, but with this next system on the way, wouldn't be surprised if we picked up another half an inch to maybe 2 inches of rain before we dry out for Wednesday as this wave clears out. And thankfully, we'll stay quiet still and mild for Thanksgiving. Then Black Friday, we'll see our next wave work in and keep rain chances around for Black Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So we got a few more systems to keep an eye on, but 52 tomorrow, 60 on Tuesday, 53 and dry Wednesday, 60 and dry on Thanksgiving. Then we'll watch for additional rain chances with another system on the way by Black Friday and for the rest of the holiday weekend. Mike?
Well, thanks again, Nick. And Nick, check this out. Mary, check this out. Some new babies made their public debut in Australia. The Sydney Sea Life Aquarium welcomed some new Gentoo penguin chicks this week. The chicks hatched in the aquarium's sub-Antarctic zone. Penguin workers are keeping a close eye on the adorable newcomers, weighing them every day to monitor their growth. The youngest chick is about 10.5 ounces and the oldest is roughly 4.5 pounds. The penguins' parents made headlines back in 2018 for being the aquarium's first Gentoo penguins to successfully incubate and raise a baby chick. All right, let's switch gears from cute chicks to rough and tough dudes. Their goal was to prove that people are stronger than machines, and they did all that they could to make their point this weekend. On Saturday, athletes from all over Russia took part in the strongman competition in Crimea. In order to win, each participant had to lift a car weighing almost 900 pounds and carry it as far as they could. Then they had to pull a truck, its gear in neutral, more than 65 feet using a thick rope. To top it all off, they had to carry a giant rubber tire weighing 220 pounds back to the starting line. Because of COVID restrictions, there were no spectators to cheer on the competitors. A 22-year-old ended up winning it all. Wow. All right, stick around, sports fans. We'll be right back with Andy Ciateco and your KOAM News at 9 Sports Report.
Welcome back and welcome into the Toyota Sunday Night Sports Feed. The Kansas City Chiefs are fresh off their bye week. The Chiefs are in primetime tonight on the road facing the Las Vegas Raiders. Kansas City's only loss this season is to the Raiders back in Week 5. Right now, the Chiefs are trailing 24-21 early in the fourth quarter. Lamar Tigers are in the state semifinals for the 11th time in 12 years. The Tigers have been good this season, averaging about 42 points a night. They are 10-1 this year, winning their last 8 straight games. The Tigers will host Jefferson on Saturday. In Class 3, we're talking about Missouri high school football playoffs right now, and in Class 3, in the last year's state runner-up, Cassville Wildcats are looking to make a second straight trip to the title game. The Wildcats will be on the road Saturday facing the Maryville Spoof Hounds. Oklahoma Sooners have really hit their stride in the second half of the season. Last night, the 18th ranked Sooners topped rival Oklahoma State 41-31 actually. OU opened with a 21-0 lead on the way to a 6th straight Bedlam series. After starting the season 1-2, the Sooners have now won the last 5 straight games, with their sights on a Big 12 championship, sitting at 6-2 on the regular season, with 2 regular season games remaining.
We've been in this long enough that I know y'all get tired of me saying this, but if you just win, stuff takes care of itself. So we don't talk at all about who else is playing who or where we stand. We just know if we win, good things happen. And the more you win, especially this time of year, the bigger the games get and the bigger the opportunities get.
No matter where we're at, and we fought back, and we're in a good spot right now. We got 2 games ahead of us. We're just taking it day by day, game by game.
Yeah, the Sooners won that one 41-18 rather, and that's a look at your sports. Back with more news after this.
Welcome back. Texas has been hit hard by COVID-19. The county has had more than 81,000 positive cases since the pandemic began, and close to 45% of those cases are people currently infected with the disease. Now the military is helping in the El Paso hospitals and morgue. Fox News' Keenan Willard talked with members of the military medical staff.
We are dealing with a pandemic unlike on any other.
With El Paso hospitals and ICUs over capacity since last month due to one of the worst COVID-19 surges in the country, 3 Air Force medical teams have spent the past 2 weeks deployed in the borderland to aid in the fight.
We came over here to University Medical Center. We onboarded over here with the medical staff. They showed us around the hospital. And after that, we hit the ground running and started working in some of the critical care sections in the emergency medicine rooms.
Staff Sergeant Blake Pfaff is a member of the team at UMC, where the COVID-19 ICU is drawing comparisons to a war zone.
A lot of the people I work with have described it similar to Afghanistan, Iraq. There's just a large amount of patients that we're taking care of, and a lot of critically sick patients.
El Paso has seen a wave of deaths among COVID-19 patients that has overwhelmed the county morgue, with the county having to call in the National Guard today to work through a backlog of nearly 240 bodies. But the Air Force teams say they're taking pride in the patients they have been able to save.
We do have some patients unfortunately losing their lives, but I'd rather focus on the patients that we are taking care of, the ones that we are able to take off the emergency ventilators.
Although members of the military are often called heroes for their service, the medical teams say the spotlight belongs on the healthcare workers who've been saving lives in El Paso since the pandemic began.
They're the real heroes. We're just here in support of them.
A widespread curfew prompted protests in California this weekend. Dozens of demonstrators gathered near the Huntington Beach Pier after 10 p.m. on Saturday to protest the new curfew. Orange County Sheriff's deputies, as well as other local law enforcement officials, said they wouldn't enforce the curfew, but if they deemed the gathering an unlawful assembly, the group would have to disband. Last Thursday, California Governor Gavin Newsom issued the ordinance for 41 of the state's 58 counties. The new rules halt non-essential work and travel between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. Believe it or not, there are some places that are seeing improvement with COVID-19. Australians are excited for loosened COVID restrictions, but officials warn they are not out of the woods just yet. With the majority of the country reporting no new infections or deaths in weeks, officials pulled back certain restrictions. South Australia rescinded stay-at-home orders as the state only reported 1 infection today. The state's premier shared in the joy but urged folks to stay vigilant.
I know that many South Australians would be absolutely delighted that the stay-at-home order has now been released. This was taken off as of midnight last night, but I do need to emphasise that we still do have high-level restrictions in place over and above where we were at this time last week. They're going to be in place through to the 1st of December, so we need people to listen, know those restrictions and abide by them very strictly through to the 1st of December and any restrictions that might be in place thereafter.
The state of Victoria, which accounted for roughly 90% of the country's COVID-19 deaths, relaxed rules on masks, saying people no longer have to wear them outside. As a whole, Australia reported 88 active cases of the virus throughout the country today. This weekend, the FDA granted emergency use authorization to the pharmaceutical company Regeneron for the first antibody cocktail for COVID-19. When administered, the antibody cocktail REGEN-COV2 has shown signs in trials of lowering the amount of virus in the body and reducing lung damage. This experimental therapy is the same cocktail that was given to President Trump when he was infected with the coronavirus in October. Adult and pediatric patients with mild to moderate COVID-19 cases will be eligible to receive this treatment. Anyone getting the treatment must have a positive COVID test and be at high risk for progressing to severe COVID-19 symptoms. Initial doses of REGEN-COV2 will be made available to approximately 300,000 patients for free under the government allocation program. All right, we are not done yet here on your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. And we've got a bunch of fun holiday-themed stories headed your way to help wrap up the show. And one of them takes place in the City of Lights, or maybe now it's the City of Christmas Lights. Stay tuned. Welcome back to your News at 9. While the pandemic has caused a number of holiday traditions to be canceled in the Big Apple, Macy's is keeping the season alive with their iconic holiday window displays. And as Fox News' Teresa Priolo shows us, this year's displays are a thank you letter to frontline workers for staying New York strong during tough times.
It's beginning to look a lot like the holidays of years gone by when life was so much simpler.
I think they're amazing.
What do you think?
Good and amazing.
Young and old, and most in masks, stop by the iconic Macy's flagship store in Herald Square to see the newly unveiled holiday windows, a 6-pane tribute to our frontline workers.
The theme of these windows this year is Give, Love, and Believe. It's really a thank you letter to all the essential workers, Marchers for Equality, first responders, New Yorkers, really the city, to show our respect and honor.
Manny Urquizo is Macy's National Windows Director. As he shows us, some of the windows are interactive. There's a nod to the Thanksgiving Day Parade and a reminder to celebrate what makes New York unique. It's all tied together with what has become known as a hallmark of New York's pandemic response, the 7 p.m. clap for our healthcare heroes.
So typically a holiday window takes 9 months from conceptualizing to completion. This year, with the topical nature of our windows, we had to quickly pivot to pay respect and honor those essential workers.
Macy's has installed social distancing markers on the floor to remind the crowds to keep it moving. We're told there won't be any sort of additional enforcement. With all the things we can't do this holiday season, checking out the holiday windows isn't one of them.
We have pandemic, it still looks beautiful. You come here and enjoy it. Don't just stay home and do nothing, just come here and enjoy it.
This brings a lot of light, especially, like I said, in the time of darkness. So it's really cool, uplifting, and it gives like that holiday spirit.
If you want to come and interact with the Macy's holiday window display, you can do so until New Year's Day. But if you do, remember to keep at least a reindeer's distance apart.
Well, here's another sign from New York City that the holidays are here. The rink at Rockefeller Center opened for the season over the weekend. But because of the pandemic, the rink is only opened at a limited capacity and skaters need to wear masks. Skating time is also limited to 50 minutes. The Rockefeller Center Christmas tree lighting ceremony will happen on December 2nd, but because of the pandemic, people won't be allowed to attend in person, so you just have to watch it online. Check this out, the City of Lights got a lot more lights. That's because the Christmas lights are now on in Paris. There was even a countdown leading up to the big moment. The Legion of Lights can be found along the Champs-Élysées and in four other parts of the city. Those lights will be brightening the spirits in the French capital through January 6th. It's also beginning to look a lot like Christmas over in Mexico City. People are stocking up on traditional poinsettias, a plant that is native to the country of Mexico. Poinsettias are put on display in homes, businesses, and public areas throughout the holiday season. Residents of Mexico City travel to the flower market of Xochimilco to purchase poinsettias straight from the people who grow them. But this year, the coronavirus pandemic is putting a damper on some holiday traditions. Growers say they are nervous that the flower market may be shut down in an attempt to stop the spread of the virus. All right, well, thanks so much for wrapping up your weekend with us. We will see you next week for more KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. And of course, stay safe out there.